Time newscast on Equinoxe television live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, another attack on the school in the northwest and southwest, or in Anglophone Cameroon. A school suffered the attack of armed civilians, armed men in Limbe today, and the attack sent panic and trauma waves down the spines of students and other inhabitants of the area. Civil society, human rights activists and defenders have been condemning the publication of naked pictures of students circulating on social media. And in the northwest region of the country, Governor Afrique urged the population to unite and help the administration and security and defense forces to fight enemies of peace. Those he qualifies as enemies of peace. He was speaking after a security meeting in the town of Bamenda, and of course the teachers who were kidnapped in a school in Kumbu are still in captivity. We begin this newscast in the opaque city of Limbe in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, where a school was stormed by armed men today who attacked some students in the school and set some sections of the school ablaze today. And it was a chaotic atmosphere witnessed in that school in the town of Limbe. And our correspondent Davidson Maimo files in details in this report.
In front of Kulu Memorial Comprehensive Secondary School, an attack by unknown gunmen sent the students and teaching staff running for their lives.
I don't know how to talk. I don't need to talk. As school say me go with the ball and the officer so. Go for the video therapy for the video therapy for the. Give it up. Give me that one. Give me that. I'll pour all the inside.
Duolanje, the proprietor of the school, says he is in shock after he was briefed by the teachers, students, and worse of it, the dehumanizing images of students and teachers running naked circulating on social media.
Since 8 o'clock to now, I've been receiving. And everybody who comes to hear me talk, I just tell them, you cannot get anything from me. I don't know what's happened. I don't know what to tell anybody. People telling me that they came about 20 of them. And
these are their pants and their breastwear, as you can see for yourself. And this is exactly, it gives you a picture of the trauma that the students must have gone through. It gives you the picture that for people to actually get into the classrooms and forcefully taking off the clothes of students, I mean, it is a very sad situation indeed. And even the staffs, we got information, even the staffs, some of the staffs were molested equally. And these push the students to start running for their life. And some were running within the street naked down, and they were only helped by people that they meet on their way that actually gave them some clothes to put on as they were all naked running. It gives you a picture of a barbaric act that, of course, and many are wondering what satanic mindset is actually happening nowadays as far as the ongoing Anglophone crisis is concerned.
The defense and security forces, they immediately reach here at the scene to see how they can maintain total security. But unfortunately, no student was actually seen at the school premises, no teaching staff, as all of them have fled for safety. They are here searching and combing the entire area in search of those who carry out the act here at the Kulu Memorial Comprehensive Secondary School here at Maitu in Limbe. Some two persons were picked up by security elements here for interrogation, and they have been whisked off by the special unit of the police here in Limbe. The atmosphere is a very calm one as people are going about their activities on protest, while other schools are equally having classes. But the students here at Kulu Memorial College, school for them today, the 4th of November, actually has been shut down temporarily. Davidson Maimo is my name for Equinoxe TV at Kulu Memorial Comprehensive Secondary School, Maitu in Limbe.
And 10 students feared missing in Fundong chief town of the Boyo Division, northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. They are said to have been kidnapped by armed men on their way to school. Some teachers, 11 of them of Presbyterian Secondary School Kumbo, still in the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, kidnapped by armed men, are yet to be released. In the meantime, the governor has been holding a security meeting with top officials of the region and urging the population to help in the fight against such happenings in his area of command. Bustela reports.
It was from these premises, November 3, 2020, that some teachers were kidnapped by armed men. A release same day by the Right Reverend Funky Samuel Foba, moderator of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon State. The incident took place at about 9 a.m. when unidentified armed men stormed the primary and secondary sections of the Presbyterian School in Kumbo, dispersing the children and going away with 11 teachers. The church has condemned the act, saying it deprives the children of their rights to education. The incident in Kumbo comes 2 years after the October 31, 2018 abduction of 11 Form 5 students and the November 4, 2018 abduction of 78 students and 3 staff of the Presbyterian Secondary School Quen in Bamenda. These are not the only cases. The 4 years armed conflict in the 2 English-speaking regions of Cameroon has had a negative impact on education in particular. Statistics from the regional delegations of basic and secondary education for the Northwest indicate that there are 801 functional nursery and primary schools operating with 103,476 pupils as at October 30, 2020, and over 39,000 students have resumed schools in 142 colleges across the Northwest region. The education stakeholders have noted a remarkable increase of operational schools, but the attacks so far are heartbreaking. Kumba is still fresh in the minds of many, a Cameroonian who wish for nothing but to see an end to the conflict.
The governor of the Northwest region, Adolphe Lafrique, has urged the population to unite and help the administration of security and defense forces in the fight against those he qualifies as enemies of peace, to fight against the atrocities being committed within the context of the 4-year-long armed conflicts in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. And he was speaking to the press shortly after a security meeting at his office in the town of Bamenda. Take a listen.
Appealing to the population to continue organizing themselves in vigilante group, peace group in our various communities, including schools, marketplace, travel agencies, parks, to accompany the process of coming back to normalcy. That has already started. Economic activities are resuming. Administrative activities have resumed everywhere in the region. Social activities, even cultural activities are coming back. We are therefore asking the population not to relent in their efforts. Those that have gone elsewhere to come back to the region, many of them have come back. Many mayors have coming back. Those that are still hesitating should come back to control the situation in their various communities. Because it is clear it is, of course, the devil will take advantage of that. And he's taking advantage. He has taken advantage for almost 4 years in some areas. We should fight against that devil to give the crisis a befitting burial. Thank you very much.
Governor Adolphe Lafrique equally talked about some women who stormed his office crying for peace. He said the women told him that they are tired of attacks, notably by armed men. They are tired of attacks and intimidations from armed men. He gave them assurance that the administration is doing everything possible and with their collaboration to put everything to bring back peace and normalcy in the northwest region of the country. Listen to Governor Adolphe Lafrique.
My office to say enough is enough, asking the terrorists to stop doing what they are doing, praying for the student. And of course, it is clear that it is not possible for a security man to be behind everybody, every student. Therefore, we are appealing the population, the school community, and all the stakeholders to mobilize and to rally behind the head of state like one man to shun off those demons from our community. Thanks, the population are already mobilized, and from the last assessment, they are tracing those terrorists, indicating them to the security forces for them to be sanctioned and to be prosecuted. We are also grateful of the effort put by the education community, the teachers, the students to resume classes. We are asking them to continue going to classes despite that incident, because measure has been taken to accompany the process.
Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Dianguti is on his way to Kumba in the Meme Division, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, ahead of the burial of the 7 students killed at Mother Francisca International Bilingual Academy on the 24th of last month. The Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Dianguti arrived at Boyan, headquarters of the southwest region, earlier this evening, and he will be heading to Kumba tomorrow to represent the head of state at the burial of the students who were killed during the shooting in the town of Kumba, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. Now we take you to Likumba village, where the population are lamenting over inadequate electric energy supply. They have gone without constant energy supply for close to 3 months today, and this is coming to add to the insecurity and unstable socio-political and security situation caused by the Anglophone crisis. The Jato report.
It is Tuesday, one of the market days here in Likumba Tiko subdivision, and it is unusual that these grinding machines are quiet and empty on such a day.
So we need grinding machine by spices all the time. So the women are crying. They are too much crying.
And the result is that many homes will go without food.
Now so our food don't have to grind corn.
Corn flour and vegetable is the principal meal here. And the sad news is that here, where this process part has been punctured, and the problem is not even coming from these grinding machines, but nearby, she pointed at a transformer.
For
3 months now, Likumba has not had electricity, and the sing-song on everyone's lips is for the electricity distributing company to come and change this transformer.
We borrow from different people, they won't get into our own country, but let me use them. Let our own. So, Papa, I beg me, we don't need to come in and see it to do our own problem. You don't over too much. When I say we light, I beg, look come back. One light. Yeah, we cannot do anything. We can light our life.
The story goes that this transformer supplying electricity to this entire village was shot during one of the shootouts between the separatist fighters and the Cameroon armed forces. And today the Likumba population is begging on the power that be to consider these ones first. Their children who cannot read at home because of no electricity, and come to their rescue. This Likumba electricity wahala is so desperate that even this man begged Equinoxe television to help provide electricity.
Please for the Equinoxe, we support, assist the human and the for parents and the children.
Back at Inyo head office in Boya, a source told us that stories of transformers being destroyed by bullets are common in the region. Tiko, just like Moyoka and other places, have witnessed the same destruction, with the cost of such heavy equipment running into millions, and at a time when most of the areas are considered as red zones, where recovery is impossible because of the escalation of the war in the Anglophone regions, makes intervention for repairs or replacement not too prompt. But for the Likumba case, the file is already on the table of Inyo management for this transformer to be changed, and Inyo official briefed ETV.
Relative calm has returned within the ranks of commercial motorbike riders in Konsamba in the Mongo Division littoral region of Cameroon. They took to the streets protesting against the shooting of one of the commercial motorbike riders in the town. They thought he was dead, but he is alive. Smanjika Gabriel has more.
Some days ago, the commercial motorcycle riders in Konsamba went on rampage. They were protesting and saying that a gendarme officer shot their colleague to death. But the commander of the Mongo North Gendarmerie assured them that he was alive. On a hospital bed, still receiving treatment, the bike riders are reassured and happy.
Our
visit was to be reassured that our colleague is still alive. With some little contribution from other colleagues, we brought support for him. We are requesting that the government should also provide for his upkeep.
L'accompagnement que nous avons besoin, il faudrait que cela vienne aussi de l'administration pour pouvoir nous aider.
The rumor, which spread like wildfire, emanated after people saw the wife of the bike rider at the Konsamba hospital and thought she came to deposit the corpse in the morgue. When I arrived in Lum and didn't see him, the doctor said if I have money on me, I should rush to Konsamba. While in Konsamba, people saw me and said I came to keep the corpse of my husband in the morgue, but I told them he wasn't dead. With the increase of insecurity in Konsamba, this bike rider, who was unable to provide his identification documents at its control point, was shot on the leg as he attempted to run away.
More than 5 coffee plants operating clandestinely in Bonaberi Douala for subdivision have been sealed. They were uncovered by security and defense forces who went controlling some of the activities of those enterprises, and after identifying illegal components and even unhealthy practices in the activities of those enterprises, they were simply sealed. Immaculate Fogo reports.
A clandestine coffee factory in Bojongo, Bonaberi, Douala 4 subdivision, stormed by security elements. The environment where the transformation process has taken place looks untidy. The over 5 workers who were at the factory at the time of the visit say they do not have a toilet.
One piece. I want piece.
Just have the one master. We'll not be used to the place. So don't come. And since we come
several bags of coffee. Not far from the coffee factory is another factory producing body lotions and soap. The barrels used for the production of the toiletries are dirty. In order to avoid any danger linked to the usage of these toiletries, all the equipment used for the production of the toiletries were burnt. The same operation equally led to the sealing of a cement factory which was not respecting production norms. Their next stop was at an industry specialized in the production of whiskey. Here, the owner is being accused of not respecting security measures. Many of the workers were not in possession of face masks, hand gloves, boots, and helmets. The last discovery was at a factory fabricating locally made weapons. Here, an employees intercepted.
Some inhabitants of Cameroon's economic capital take to the streets protesting against recurrent accidents in their neighborhood, and they took to the streets asking the authorities to put speed brakes and ensure that vehicles respect regulated speeds along the area, notably in the Aqua North part of the town of Douala. For me, Armstrong Sander reports.
These are images of persons killed or wounded in different road accidents on the extended stretch of the Boulevard de la République in Douala, linking Bepanda to Bonamosadi. The double carriage extension, inaugurated in 2019, has become a killer stretch. Local inhabitants say at least 20 persons have been killed along this stretch, either knocked by a car or a motorbike on high speed. Eric lost his junior brother in an accident here in March 2020.
After knocking him down, the vehicle ran away and he was abandoned along the road. There were very few people around who came and carried him later. I took him to the hospital, but he could not survive it. He died later.
Another victim recounts his story.
Before I realized that we were involved in an accident, a heavy-duty truck was on top of me and my bike rider. Look, this is the photo of my leg.
Angry that their neighborhood has become a scene for repeated accidents, victims and inhabitants of Benabo, the neighborhood along this stretch, came out to manifest against overspeeding and the absence of speed brakes.
What we want is for the city council to place speed brakes along this stretch in order to prevent further accidents.
One of such stretches without speed brakes is the east entryway into the city of Douala on the National Road number 3.
Parce que déjà il faut dire que l'axe nous avons le lycée tout juste à côté, le lycée de Bobongo.
Locals say the situation along the village neighborhood is even worse as the stretch is a triple carriageway. They are worried about the safety of their kids who cross the risky path on daily basis to seek education.
Out of Cameroon, the United States elections is still ongoing as ballots are being counted in the 7 states left to conclude the elections. Joe Biden, age 77, from the Democratic Party, is leading the polls with at least 238 Electoral College votes, winning the largest state in the United States of America, California, with 55 Electoral College votes and 19 states so far. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, incumbent President Donald Trump, age 74, from the Republican Party, has won at least 213 college electoral votes, winning in the major key states of Texas with 38 college votes and 22 states so far. However, the candidates had a split vote in the state of Maine and Nebraska, and of course the elections is still ongoing, and the two candidates are quite close to each other, and the battle between Trump and of course former Vice President under Barack Obama, Joe Biden, is on. Talking Point is up next. Our guest today, Dr. Ivor Dita, a lecturer at the University of Minnesota in the United States of America, is joining us. Thank you for joining us today, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Babila, for inviting me to Talking Point today. It's my pleasure to join Equinoxe once more, and I want to extend My warm regards to all the televiewers of Primetime News 6 p.m. on Equinoxe television.
We'll begin there in the United States of America. Donald Trump has already announced his victory, and he's saying that that victory, there are maneuvers to steal that victory from him, and there is some sort of tension in the air. The battle between him and former Vice President Joe Biden is on. What's the atmosphere there like?
Yeah, we are living on the knife edge, as we will say it out here in the United States. As you know, this is a historic election taking place within very unusual circumstances. Not only are we dealing with a pandemic, but there has been a lot of racial bias issues in the United States. And for the first time, we've had a huge proportion of Americans voting by mail-in. So that has made the context or the contest very challenging, and it's not going as it has often been in the previous years. As you rightly stated, as it stands, we do not know who will be the next president of the United States. However, based on the numbers that we are seeing, it seems like the trend is towards the former Vice President, Mr. Joseph Biden, to perhaps just edge the incumbent president, Mr. Trump, to the presidency of the United States. A lot of the votes are still being counted. There are a handful of states, maybe 7 or so, where the race is very close, and we've not been able to call it yet. So I'm sure we will get down to the wire before we will know who will become the next president of the United States. Overall, I think this election will be remembered for what it was not, rather than what it was. Primarily, it had been projected that Mr. Trump was going to lose by a very large margin. In fact, a democratic tsunami wave had been anticipated, but as things stand, it is a very different picture.
Are there possibilities of President Trump getting a second mandate?
As I stated, Bapila, the race is very, very close. But the trend at this point, it's looking more in favor of former Vice President Joe Biden. While there is a pathway for the incumbent, Mr. Trump, it looks like it is getting more and more challenging for him to find a pathway to a second term. I'm sure by 6 p.m. tonight, when most of the ballots would have been counted, we'll be able to make a statement as to who will really be the next president. As you know, even in the state of Pennsylvania, we do not know whether even by Friday, until Friday, we may not have all the ballots counted. So the name of the game here is patience. We have to be patient, and we have to wait and see how this turns out. But it's looking like Mr. Biden may just edge it.
And whoever becomes the president of the United States of America will definitely have on his shoulders the coronavirus, which is still raging there in the U.S.
Yes, as I mentioned, this election is taking place within a pandemic that we have never seen before. As you rightly stated, the United States is seeing a significant increase in the number of infected persons. As we speak, the United States is almost at about 9.3 million infected persons, and we've recorded just about 230,000 deaths. So this pandemic is not going anywhere anytime soon. And as you can tell, the population is getting a bit anxious. People are ready to move on with their life. And the measures that we know work, unfortunately, are not being followed as best as we should be doing. So we will have to wait and see. But the virus appears to be here to stay for quite a long time.
Does the coronavirus have any impact on the unfolding of the elections?
Yes, I would think so, Mr. Babila. As I stated up front, for the first time in the United States, we have about 100 million Americans voting by mail-in. And it's one of the reasons why we've not been able to call this election, because those ballots take a bit longer to count than people that actually come in and cast their votes. So this is really as a consequence of the pandemic, with people being afraid to come out and vote in person for fear of contracting the virus. Millions of Americans send their ballots in by mailing, and a lot of those ballots only start being counted on the day of the election. So that's why we are getting out as far as we have been, without knowing who will be the next president of the United States.
What about the outcome, the performance of President Trump in the election with regards to his management of the coronavirus pandemic? That is one of the areas where he was highly criticized.
Oh, yeah. I mean, going into the elections, the polling experts had actually come up with numbers showing that Mr. Trump was going to lose by more than 10 percentage points to Mr. Biden. That's why everybody is shocked with what we are currently seeing in the United States. And at the exit polls, people that voted, when they were interviewed, one of the biggest issues they said determined how they voted was based on the management of the coronavirus. And as we know, Mr. Trump has been highly blamed for mismanaging the coronavirus. And as it stands, we know that maybe that anger did not translate into what we are seeing in terms of the ballot counts.
Now back to your home country. Some days ago, the government announced that the coronavirus is still very much present in the country, with latest figures from the Ministry of Public Health showing that the country is now counting 22,103 persons who have been tested positive for coronavirus, and over 429 persons who have died so far, and 21,151 who have been treated. What's your reading of these figures of the coronavirus in Cameroon as an associate professor of medicine at the University of Minnesota?
Yeah, Mr. Babila, I mean, I will start by saying I am very grateful that Cameroon did not suffer the devastating effects of the virus as had been feared when the pandemic first started. We have to agree that these numbers reported in Cameroon are probably a huge underestimate of the true numbers in Cameroon, because we know the problems that exist with testing and in Cameroon. Even in terms of the number of deaths, I am also sure that this is a huge underestimate. But I want to say we still do not understand why the impact of the coronavirus in sub-Saharan Africa has been far less than what we are seeing in the Western or developed nations. There have been a lot of hypotheses, maybe the younger age of the people in this population, maybe the climate, but nobody really knows. Some people have actually argued that perhaps the governments of these nations were able to better handle the coronavirus than it's been done in other places. But I have my doubts about that, because knowing what happens, for example, in Cameroon, where people do not put on masks, people do not social distance, hand hygiene has not been followed as prescribed, it's very difficult to argue that perhaps the less mortality or morbidity that we are seeing from the virus in Cameroon can be attributed to better management by the government. But I want to remind Cameroonians, the pandemic is still here. Please follow the methods that have been shown to work. Put on your mask, wash your hands, avoid large crowds, and social distance as best as you can.
Now, away from the coronavirus pandemic to the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon, today another attack occurred in a school in the Limbe after the recent killing of over 7 students in Mother Francisca International Bilingual Academy in Kumba. Another attack occurred today, and there was a lot of panic and commotion in that school as some armed men stormed the school and stripping some of the students naked and forcing them to run around, to run for their dear life naked. When you see such things happening at this point in time, and I should also indicate that some teachers were kidnapped yesterday in Presbyterian Secondary School, Kumbo, are still in captivity, and over 10 students feared missing. They are said to have been kidnapped equally. When you look at all of these happening in your home country, in your region, what do you think about the future and the way this crisis is being handled and the future of those two regions?
Mr. Babila, I cannot tell you how devastated I am. The killing of those kids in Kmer, I am still to recover. And before we recover, we now hear of what happened in Limbe today. And by the way, not too long ago, we know of the Ngabo massacre, where we had about 13 kids killed, pregnant women killed. I mean, this is one more massacre too many. When is this going to stop? I really want to extend my heartfelt condolences to the parents in Kmer who have lost children. We are talking of 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds. I mean, if this is what we have become, I tell you what, we do not have any humanity left in us. When children become the center focus, I don't know who killed these kids. I know the government says it is the armed Amber boys. But just like it happened in Ngabo, and the government came out and said these were armed people, it ended up being the military. I would like to call on the president, Mr. Biya, whom we still have not seen since the massacre in Kmer. Just come to think about it. A teacher was killed in France. In 2 hours, Mr. Macron was there. The recent attack that took place in a synagogue where people's throats were slashed in knees, in under 4 hours, Mr. Macron was there. We are talking of a massacre of kids, and the president has not even addressed the nation. I mean, where are we heading to? This war started about 3 to 4 years ago. As the days go by, the situation is only getting worse. We can keep citing all these incidents, all the massacres. We can cite Pinyin, we can cite Santa, but when is it going to stop? Mr. President, when the president, one of the main duties of a president is to protect his citizens. I agree he has to protect the integrity of his country, but his prime duty is to provide security. Here we are talking about attacks in schools. And we know the Minister of Communication came out and said the attack in Kumba was because the school was illegal. Will he also say today that the school, Kulu Memorial College, is also illegal? Why did they not have protection? How does this assure or reassure parents whom this year have asked their kids to go back to school to continue to allow these kids to go to school?
The head of state, the head of state has been giving instructions to his ministers. The Minister of Territorial Administration was in Kumba twice, and today the Prime Minister is on his way to Kumba to represent the head of state during the burial of those students. Is that
Mr. Badila, these are cosmetic measures. We all know that the president of Cameroon can decide and stop this crisis today. He can stop the war unilaterally. Steps have been outlined. Civil society have given him steps. Political parties have given him steps. People of goodwill, the international community, friends of Cameroon, they've said dialogue, inclusive dialogue is the way out of this war. To stop the attack on children, stop this abomination and terrible acts with teachers and students being made to stand naked and run out of their schools naked, Mr. Biya can today call for a ceasefire, ask the military to go back to the barracks, allow the police to maintain peace.
Dr. Ivo Dita?
Yes, sir.
All right, Dr. Ivo Dita, lecturer, associate professor of medicine at the University of Minnesota Medical School in the United States of America. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babila, and I hope next time we'll have enough time so we can cover these very important issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.
De-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte.